Shit! Shit! Hey! Hey! Do that!
The game camera has been unused for the last week or so. Unless I put it in a woodshed under cover, I come out in the morning and the whole thing is just covered with condensation, including the lens. So any pictures it takes, which the only pictures it has taken is me or Insley walking through the yard when we set the thing up, turn it on at night, or turn it off in the morning. But if a Bigfoot Sasquatch should walk through the yard with a fogged lens, I'd be very unhappy. So I put a shade on it. Self-adhesive Velcro, so I can take this off. And now I can set it outside and it has its own roof over the lens. I'm hoping that this will work. I don't see why not. I'm going to set this out there sometime today. Catch me a beaver, hopefully. Muskrat, fox. I don't know. dull chain, just like that. And I don't know why. I didn't hit anything. I guess I was going into the ground at one point toward the end of that last one. But it's dull. I mean, it wasn't generating any chips at all. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just, oh my. I hate to leave that one stick out here, although there's more sticks. Weed killer. 1 gallon of vinegar. Dawn dishwashing detergent. Never used this before. I don't think I'm doing something right. No, I'm not. I must get rid of this plant out here. It is the genesis of it was last summer when I had this huge, I just let everything in the yard grow. What's more better than more and more wildflowers, right? Wild native plants. You may remember, and if you don't, I'm going to put up a picture of the plant that grew here last summer. It was right around in here. And it got to be 6-7 feet tall, about 6-7 feet across. The bees loved it. It was covered with bees most of the summer. It was very stiff. So last fall, early fall, I got tired of it and cut it down. But the root ball was just a huge mass, tripping on it all the time. Now this summer, all of this, all of that is the same plant. And it's gone crazy. And it's hard to walk on because it's stiff. I had one of these plants down in the drainage area between the house and the garage up until 2 weeks ago. I noticed it one day. Oh, that is one of those plants. It was about 4 feet tall, growing right out of here. I was going to poison it, but just on an off chance, a whim, I reached down and I grabbed a hold of all of the stems are coming mainly out of one centralized 4 or 5 inch circle. Got a hold of it with both hands and pulled and pulled and pulled, and the whole thing came out. Oh, roots and all. And there hasn't been a glimmer of it since. I think this is the same thing. So I decided yesterday, before I have to poison this, the poison doesn't work that well. And I'm not going to use Roundup on this property like I did 4 years ago. This is what I pulled out yesterday and today. And look at that taproot. There's another one down here that's yeah. That one. That was the first one I pulled out. Well, if the roots are coming up like this, I'm getting the whole plant. It's not going to grow back, as opposed to if I chopped it down, well, that's not going to get rid of it. It's just going to grow right back. So I decided to use a new sprayer. I haven't used it yet, but this bare patch, I pulled a lot of those plants out of here. And they look large, and they are large, but when you get down to pull it up by the roots, it turns out that you can gather most of one plant in one hand. But that got to be tiresome. Oh, look at that taproot. So I'm going to try the sprayer.
The summit will mark 75 years of the advisories across the country this week, and there are hundreds of well-known firefighters.
It's a summer day. We're into our first week now. Every day is going to be in the 80s, low to mid. It's probably 80 today, first day of this, and the humidity is about 50%. It's very workable. You know, I've been talking about and photographing the robin's nest in the garage. Third year they've had it up on the rafters. Same place. A week ago, I had looked up when I went in one morning, and oh, there's 3 little heads. All I had was a GoPro on a handle, so I held it up, and yesterday I thought, oh man, I want to get the long lens in on the big camera. But all I could see it looked like an empty nest. There was nothing, no heads poking up. Then a little while later, there was the mama, or the papa, sitting in the nest. All you could see was his head, her head. So I think the babies that I saw a week or so ago have fledged and are gone. And interestingly, I didn't realize that until just today. Last evening, being out here, I was aware of a robin chirping, 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 chirping. And that reminded me of last summer, exactly a year ago. She or he were, I think, encouraging the fledged babies to fly. They're out of the nest, but they're somewhere when mom and dad are yelling encouragement at them, I think. That's all my conjecture. But then there's new eggs. There must be new eggs now in the nest. Boy, they work fast. They get 2 broods in a summer. And when I brought the camera out to do that with the long lens, she or he wasn't moving. They weren't leaving the nest for anything. I mean, they've gotten used to me, I think, going in and out. And I'm careful going in and out of there. When I see that there's a robin up there, I'm quiet. I don't want to scare them. And they usually stay now. So they're incubating another 2 or 3 eggs. I love having this be the center of new life. And hearing all the chirping that I'm hearing. And a couple nights ago, evenings, I was sitting on the front stoops, and I heard a robin up in the big pine tree over here, 50 feet off the ground on a branch, calling. And then I heard another robin up over here somewhere, and suddenly the light came on. He or she in this tree would call, and that one would answer in whatever language they've got. But they never interrupted each other, they didn't oversing each other, so they were communicating, and it was fascinating. They were as clearly talking to each other as we talk to another person. What were they saying? What were they communicating? What were they sharing? And the one over here had a distinct vocabulary from this one over here that was also a distinct vocabulary, different than that one. So they were using different words. Marvelous. What more do you want in life than to be curious and then become aware of, I wonder if, and the more you think about it, the more, yeah, they are actually talking to each other. Mama, daddy. The recipe that I talked about just a minute or two ago is 1 gallon vinegar, 1 tablespoon of Dawn dishwashing detergent. And I think it's important that you use Dawn. It has something in it or about it that is different than Joy or whatever other. I wouldn't use anything but Dawn. And they say optional is 1 cup of salt. And I kept reading here, and I wanted to know what the salt does. Well, it's a booster. It helps desiccate the plant. Well, I realized when you put salt on plants, salty water, they die. But there was also a warning in there. They say optional 1 cup of salt, but be careful with it because it will get into the soil, and it may be too much for the soil and kill the soil. Ooh. And once salt is in the environment, it can't be eliminated. So I would recommend, at least for myself, if I'm going to put salt in the next batch I make, I may use a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, I don't know. This batch that I've been using today, I'm pointing at it, sitting on the deck over there. That's why I'm pointing. I have a reason for my madness. I mixed that up last fall, and what a delight it is to use a hand pump sprayer. Oh my God. Last fall, I just used one of those pint or quart, hand sprayer. Well, forget it. Your hand wears out in 20 pumps or so. And this thing, the pump up, it just goes and goes and goes, and it gets rid of a lot of it. It sprays a lot out. And I went through the rest of that gallon. It was almost a whole gallon that I went through just this afternoon. And I'm going to have to get another one. I bought that one to put in the lady beetle insecticide, but I don't need it now till fall, and this is more pressing. Insley's been having another good day. She's weird, I tell you. She's getting less and less interested in everything. We come out at 4:30 with my coffee. She always comes out with me, roams around the yard a little bit, into the garage, wherever she wants, does her morning pee, and we go back in the house. And more she comes out of the house with me, very gingerly. And this morning she sat on the deck. She hadn't peed. And we went back in the house. She'd never left the deck. What the hell was going on? When we came out at 7, she was all excited, launched off the deck and came running into the front yard after something. Later on in the morning, we can come out. I'll walk down the driveway to get her off the deck. She finally follows and comes out, lays down in the sun of the driveway. Is she annoyed by the mosquitoes? That might be it. But I think I'm going to have to take her in. Blood work that she had done in May or April showed a minor amount of anaplasmosis. Well, keep an eye on her if she gets real lethargic. Is anaplasmosis something, the longer she has it, the less likely it can be rooted out with antibiotic. That's to the north of the Otter Pond here. She went into the woods and has been barking at something, and I can't get at her. I can't get anywhere near her through this jungle. I gave a whistle. I want her back here. I can't see what's going on down there, what she was barking at to start with. But she doesn't bark unless it's something important. You hear her? Here she comes. 5 whistles. And the last bark she gave, she was a long way farther north. I'm guessing it was a deer. I had one hanging around the clearing for the last week or so. A couple of mornings ago, I was out in the front yard. I heard a hollow thump, and what it was a deer had been right up near the house, north side of the house, and had run down the hill and across the holding tank, which has a plastic lid. And she stomped on it as she ran past, ran over it. Thump. She stopped and looked at me. Ooh. So that's why I'm guessing it's the same deer. Well, that already looks grayed out. Graying out. Is that possible? Here it is.